Before Encrid went to face the enemy first, we get to know what Christ was talking earlier. Christ suggested Encrid to show the enemy some boldness. For that, he needs to get close to them, right up to their arrow range, and then provoke them. Ben sees Encrid marching forward and asks what he is doing right now. Encrid says that he's the one who is standing at the front of everyone else. He doesn't have any luck at all. Ben tells him to shut up. Encrid and his team keep walking forward, and Ben says he'll get hit by arrows if he goes that far. He again asks what they plan to do this time. The soldier mocks Encrid and says that a nobody came to fight him. Encrid stares at his enemy with serious eyes. Earlier, he asked Christ about what he should say to provoke the enemy. He has nothing to say. Christ replied that he'll come up with something once he gets there. He points to his tongue and says he has talent for this sort of thing. At present, Encrid points at his enemy and asks what he is. How did he end up with a ghoul's head? The once so happy face of the enemy begins to brim with anger. On hearing that insult, everyone bursts into laughter. Ben wonders if that guy planned all of this. He knows the power of his face. It's similar to having the nightmare of having his crush being taken away by that look. Encrid sighs and says he's sorry for hurting his feelings. It's just that his narrow mind could never imagine such things. He broadens his perspective and asks if his mother is a ghoul too. This gets on the guy's nerves, and he curses at Encrid. Rem bursts into laughter, and Auden says that mouth alone deserves some divine punishment. Ragna also contemplates that the enemy's face looks a bit off for a human. Andrew also laughs out loud and says, "That's right. Even if he has skills, he would never get a girl with that face." He asks the captain from where he got that provocation. Andrew's teammate looks at him and thinks that he took that to heart. The ghoul head pulls out his sword and tells them to come at him. He'll cut that tongue of his. Encrid thinks that the enemy fell for his provocation and challenged him to a duel. Now all he has to do is win with overwhelming skill. Suddenly, Rem puts his axe in front of Encrid, stopping him. He asks where he is going. Jackson also puts his hand on Encrid to stop him. He says that his wound isn't healed properly, so he can't fight. Encrid looks at Auden and thinks that he needs to take it easy, otherwise they might know that Auden healed him. Rem says their rookie can easily take him down at that level. He orders Andrew to finish him off. Andrew thinks that he grew up as a house gardener, so he never needed anything else, and right now, he has nothing to be ashamed of. But the shame of being called a virgin out of nowhere gets on his nerves. He pulls out his sword and says, all of this is happening because that idiot said it out loud. The ghoul head says he doesn't want to fight a small fry. They should bring him the guy who called him a ghoul head. Is he scared to come out now? Andrew tells him to shut up and says he'll be his opponent. He charges with his sword and says he'll rip that ugly face of his. As Andrew goes for the strike, the enemy evades it. Marcus thinks that the Aspen soldiers sent for duels are seasoned veterans. They can easily take down most of their men, so they aren't easy opponents to deal with. The enemy counterattacks and deflects Andrew's sword. This takes Andrew by surprise, and he begins sweating. The ghoul head then becomes serious and charges at him. Rem thinks that guy is not as bad as his face, but their virgin is also a persistent guy. Andrew charges ahead once again with murderous eyes. He hits the enemy with full force, and he has a hard time dealing with it. He proclaims that he's Andrew, a renowned gardener. It doesn't matter what hardship has come his way. He has overcome them. It didn't matter how tired he was or how much adversity he faced. He overcame them with his resolve. And this time, he'll prove himself. Andrew kills the ghoul head by piercing his sword through the neck. He tells the guy that he's weaker than his resolve. Andrew's friend thinks that he's an incredibly talented person. It was just that everyone around him was so extraordinary that he got overshadowed. The soldiers cheer for Andrew for killing the ghoul head. They chant that even a virgin puts up a good fight. Encrid thinks that the result is obvious, as Andrew is from the lunatic squad. The soldiers call him Madman Andrew, and he lets out a loud roar on his victory. He asks his enemies if they can see this. His junk is proper. Do they get it now? Andrew's friend feels embarrassed and asks why he had to say that. Rem also bursts into laughter and says he's a goofy bastard. Auden and Ragna clap for Andrew and say bravo. Encrid chuckles and feels delighted by Andrew's progress. Christ thinks that their captain didn't fight himself. The way he dealt with this problem is way more effective. Marcus thinks that now is a good time to attack when their army morale is high. He orders his soldiers to charge ahead and break through the enemy line. When the enemy was confused and demoralized, the hidden soldiers jumped from a cliff on them. A soldier slices off the enemy, taking them by surprise. A soldier says that a platoon is flanking them from the side. They say it's the border defense force. The soldiers break through the formation by ruthlessly killing their enemy. Marcus thinks that the enemy's attention is on the border defense force right now. He says, this is the perfect time to send a volley of arrows at them. He tells his archer to line up their shot, and then tells them to fire. Multiple arrows fly through the sky, and while the arrows are in the sky, Encrid's team charges ahead. The arrows hit the soldiers, making them scream in pain. Marcus thinks that the tide is turning. He'll now show the Aspen dogs real hell. It doesn't matter how many mind games they try to pull. In the end, the one who fights better wins. Rem and Ragna charge forward, while Auden and Jackson protect their captain. An enemy soldier reports to his captain that things are bad at the front. The captain of Grey Dog Battalion thinks that the enemy took the bait. He tells the commander that the preparations are complete and they should withdraw soon. The commander gives a malicious smile and says it's finally time for that. The soldiers say that Aspen is retreating. They say that the enemy is running away with their tails between their legs. The soldiers say they have won. However, Kreis finds this weird. He thinks that Aspen doesn't retreat easily, even if the tables are turned. Marcus also finds something fishy here. A soldier says they should chase the enemy down and finish them off. However, Marcus signals them to stop. He says they are pulling back. He could sense that those bastards were definitely up to something.